As part of the budget conversations, we want to speak to leading members in the House, and we're speaking to the Member of Parliament for Nsawam Adwejiri, Frank Annoh-Dompreh. He also happens to be the chairman of the Foreign Affairs Committee. We're asking some critical questions relating to the sector, but more so generally, one or two other questions on how the economy has been managed. And good morning to you.
Pleasure, my brother. Good morning.
And for your committee, what has been some of the highlights, particularly some of the things that you've had some oversight on over the budgetary or the financial year?
I think the last budget, we looked at issues relative goods and services. And then we also realized that there was some facility taken by the ministry to give a facelift to the missions we have across the world. So we've been doing oversight over these particular areas. And over the last 4 months, we've traveled across the world, Europe, America, Asia, and Africa, to ensure that these facility contracted is being put to use, because as we speak, they haven't started disbursement, and we are unfortunately paying interest on it. But as the last time we met, I think somewhere early part of this week, we met the ministry, and they laid out a blueprint. Contracts have been awarded, and they started giving a facelift to our missions across the world.
But in that regard also, we know that we have some difficulties with some so-called migrants in the U.S. who had been earmarked to be deported. Of course, we know what decision had to be made by the High Commission in the United States. But has that decision been made yet? Was the fate of, I'm told, around 7,000?
Well, you know, to some people from other jurisdictions, back to our country, there are long procedures that are involved. As of the last time I engaged our ambassador, we were told they were still looking at the procedures because, unfortunately, there are a number of nationals who also, I don't know why they want to pose as Ghanaians out of context. And I don't know if it's because of the popularity and the respect that Ghanaians have. So, first of all, we need to confirm the authenticity of the nationality of these people who wants to be deported, and that has not been confirmed. That is why it's been causing the delay. But deportation is something very normal. Sometimes it goes on the quiet and we don't hear about it. But the ambassador has made it abundantly clear that he will not give his consent to people that he cannot confirm that they are indeed Ghanaians.
So it means that people are having our passports, Ghanaian passport, but there's suspicion they are not Ghanaians.
Well, people have tried to secure, I can confirm that people have tried to secure our passports in the sub-region for reasons that is best known to them. But what I know is that Ghanaians across the world are respected. I can't confirm that people have secured our passport. I know people have tried to pose as Ghanaians and show that identity.
But overall, in the general state of the economy, we've had some considerable relationship with China. And of course, we know it's resulted in the sort of arrangements that we have. And as you sit on the committee, why is it critical for us to deepen that sort of relationship? But on the other side, looking at the extension of criticism from the West in relation to our relationship as African countries to China.
It's most ironical that, you know, ever since this $2 billion facility was struck, not too long ago, the US of A have also passed a bill called the Builders Act, and they voted over $60 billion for various forms of investment in Africa. Then we have Angela Merkel of Germany also coming in, bringing a number of African countries together for support for Africa. So there is a clamor to invest in Africa by all parts of the country. But China, for obvious reasons, China has become a big player in amongst the Committee of Nations, and I also believe that every country is important, but at the end of the day, you have to relate in terms of your interests, okay? So anybody who appeals to us as a country and his plans dovetail into ours, we shouldn't have any problem with China, because if the relationship dates way back from our first president, and China has shown the readiness to do business with Africa. For me, I don't see any difficulties working with China. This bauxite deal, on the face value of it, is wonderful, notwithstanding the environmental challenges that have been raised consistently, and it's something that we have to revert our minds to. we have to behave and have our interests as a country at stake, and be able to negotiate so much so that eventually Ghana will be the utmost beneficiary. But China, not for any significantly unique reason, but because they tend to understand us. And I think that it is not out of place.
For you as MPs, are you worried or not about the concern being expressed not only by those in the West who observe economies, but even locally about China burdening African economies, including ours, with a lot of loans for which ultimately we could have difficulties in paying back?
I think, by and large, they've not forced us to contract the loans. We've gone on our own volition to engage them, and that fact is fundamental, and it's something we need to we don't have to gloss over. The cautioning that is being thrown in by the Western world, we'll listen to it. We are guided by it. We will not behave as the proverbial ostrich and say that we don't hear it. Yes, he needs to guide us, and we need to be careful. But I say that we are being led by a very intelligent president who was once a foreign minister, and he understands the intricacies and the nuances involved. We are not focusing overly on China. If you recall, we had some very important relationship with the US of A, AGUA, and now the second compact is also coming from America. So it's not like we have forgotten the other players and just focusing on China. So China is just one part of it. It's just that it's a very significant amount involved. Beyond that, I don't see anything strange about it. And the news is that, what I find news is that we are not repatriating our bauxite raw to China. We are refining the bauxite in our country, and then the receipt and the proceeds from it is being used to defray the amount involved. And most importantly, it is focused on infrastructure deficits, which is very key.
Yeah, and this budget, what will strike you as being the most anticipated probable means by which government could resolve issues of unemployment? Because we know that we have even still some youth who have to trek the Sahara through the Mediterranean and try to go to Europe, even though in small numbers compared to other African countries. And then also we have concerns about inflationary trends, even though, of course, at the macro level, it seems to be going down. But ultimately, the Ghanaian wants to have a better feel of how well the economy is doing in their pockets.
I think that close to 2 years now, we've had some challenges in our country, notwithstanding the gains we've made in the area of education, our industrial drive, job creation. We've had challenges. It is work in progress. What I find significant is the country winning itself of the clutches of the IMF. For me, it is going to liberate the economy, and it is one of the avenues we can stand on and leverage on job creation. Because the IMF, sadly, they say that they are injecting discipline into the economy. Ironically, they are rather limiting us. This time, we are going to have the leverage. It is going to open up the public and both the public and the private sector for job openings for the youth. So we are going to have our own blueprint. We are going to blueprint, and it will not be dictated to by the